might, and I don't mean this in a negative towards you, Michael, at all, but I would like for us to have some independent counsel look at it that has some expertise, a lot of expertise in it. And I'm thinking we may have a task force member that has that expertise, and that'd be Robert Davis. I'd like for him to look at it just to add another layer of credibility and buy-in from the task force for the citizens, just to make sure that, you know, from Ron Mabry's architectural expertise, and then from Robert's or someone else, you know, another of the council on the task force, to give that, you know, the legal expertise in writing these types of contracts. And I believe that Robert's had a lot of experience in doing that. And I think it, as I said, adds an extra layer of credibility for the project.
Mr. Gary, do we not put that out on the website for all of our task force members to look at, or do we just give it to certain people?
That's what I was going to ask. Did Mr. Huey knew whether or not Mr. Davis has actually received a copy?
I don't know that, Judge.
Once the privilege was waived by the court, it has been provided. It is the court's responsibility at this point. You've taken on the responsibility to negotiate, so it's whatever decisions you decide. You can take input from any source. However, if you want to retain counsel to provide counsel,
Right,
you need to vote to retain counsel. And if that's a $0 amount, that's fine. But you need to vote to retain counsel to give you counsel, as opposed to a committee member giving advice on the task force. So you might want to make that motion. I don't know.
Mr. Davis may not want.
Wouldn't that also be a kind of a sticky wicket as far as a co-counsel situation with you? I mean, you're representing this court, and therefore that gives us our protection, as it were, because you're our counsel provided by the district attorney. So I'm thinking, legally speaking, this might be a little sticky later on if there was a problem.
The court does have the ability to retain outside counsel anytime you wish to, and they can still serve as counsel to you, and technically they would be co-counsel with me. But at this point, and I can't go into everything that I've advised the court on, because a lot of it's been an executive session. But at this point, the court has taken on the role of assuming the negotiations on this contract. My role at this point is I will ensure that the contract is not illegal, unenforceable, void or voidable. And beyond that, it's the court's responsibility to make the decisions. It's also, like I said, it's up to the court if you want to retain outside counsel.
I just think it's best that Mr. Davis has an opportunity to review it as a task force member, not necessarily as counsel to the court. Just like every other task force member, we have other lawyers on the task force who aren't necessarily providing legal counsel to the court.
Well, His Honor is also a lawyer, so he's aware of these things also.
And we'd like to speed up this process.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to do it now.
I've gone to the county website, and I don't know if you have it posted on the county website.
But we can make sure Mr. Davis actually receives a copy of that, and
I'm sure if he sees it.
I'll talk to Mr. Mayhew today and see.
That's all right.
We'll go ahead and place this item on next week's agenda, and we need to be ready to go ahead and approve the contract. Thank you, Mr. Huey. Item 15. Consider rescinding the court's prior order and notification to let the Indigent Care Affiliation Agreement between Smith County, ETMC, and Trinity Mother Frances Health Care Center expire on September 30th, 2007, and further consider and approve modification to the agreement.
Judge Commissioners, I asked this be put back on the agenda. With us looking at building a new jail facility and looking at putting an infirmary in that facility, I was hoping that this project may be able to help us with some additional funding. We don't know if it will. If we don't put some money in our present budget, in our budget 2008 budget, then we won't have any way of knowing. So I've asked Mr. Gary and Ms. Wilson to please reconsider, put a little money in the budget for us to implement this project if we so desire. And this will probably or might give us some funding when we start looking at the infirmary within our new facility. Of course, it's way down the line, but it's just something for us to consider in the future.
Commissioner, I know you've been working on this with Mr. Gary, or at least I think you have. Have y'all discussed some checks and balances that were of concern last time?
Judge and Commissioners, what we were discussing is perhaps there's a lot of stuff that we would need to write into the contract. I won't go into all of it, but the main issue is we were hoping we could cap this at maybe $100,000 investment for the first year. So if the court chooses to move forward with this, what we need to do at this point is we can write up our proposed modifications, submit that to the hospitals. Of course, they have to get it to their legal counsel and their accountants, and then come back and say whether or not it's okay and whether or not it's a go. So basically, at this point, the court would just have to approve a modification with a cap of $100,000 is what I think we would be asking for. And then we can write up the language and submit it to the hospitals and see if if it passes the muster of their legal counsel and then come back with an agreement later.
And if we do cap this and we put it in there, if they decide they don't want to do what we are asking them, then we haven't lost anything, it's just money within our budget.
I'd certainly
This
willing to do
item,
that.
this item contemplates putting money in the budget or earmarking or setting aside, whatever you call it. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and so, Commissioner, you're saying that those issues that Ms. Wilson raised before, and then the ones that we had about their bylaws and their organizational plan changing from moment to moment, you're talking about nailing that down?
Right, what we had talked about, what I suggest is that we earmark $100,000 out of the Indigent Healthcare Trust Fund. That's not in your maintenance and operations portion of the budget, and we just allocate it at this point until we work out the details. If we can't work them out, it'll just stay within that fund, won't go anywhere.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So that would be my motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 16, report on Smith County Jail inmate status and related information. Chief.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 43 fellow inmates, 696 in Smith County Jail, 273 transported out, a total of 669. We have 21 scheduled to go to TDC this week. We have 44 paper ready. So far this budget, we spent $3,334,612. The peak from this Smith County Jail was 716 this week. Total all was 995. We have 29 parole violators, 60 with new charges, 37 child support, 37 with new charges, and we have 2 of them.
Chief, I said medical's going up also. It was 170,000 last week, and that's 195 this week. So we're slowly creeping up in that.
Yep, well, we got a lot of them out.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay, we'll move into executive session. And I just ask the courtroom to be clear, except for those necessary for the executive session. This should be brief, so if anyone needs to speak to members of the court afterwards, we should be done pretty quickly.
Judge and Commissioners, will you need me in this executive session?
Yes.